Hi, I'm Genevieve from Kent Lakes Herbaceutikals, and we're about 6 weeks away from our last frost date here in upstate New York. We got a little snow last night, but the moon is in Cancer right now, so it's a great time to start some above ground leafy greens. So we're probably going to start off with some kale and some arugula, maybe some bok chow. So we're going to get over in the cold frame, and I'm going to show you how it's done. Okay, so we're over here in cold frame box, and I like to use these salad boxes to start my seeds in. They're pretty deep, so they hold a lot of soil, which is good because it will hold some moisture. It'll hold the moisture better for the seedlings, and they can mature to about the stage of transplant here, or at least until they get their first set of true leaves and, like 2 to 3 sets of true leaves. So this is a good size to start the seeds in. I believe I've had good results with this. The first thing you want to do is put some holes in it because you need drainage. So we're going to do that. Alright, so I put some holes in here. Just enough for drainage. If you feel like you didn't put enough holes in, your plants are in there already, just don't water them so hard, because that way you won't have to worry about rot or getting too soggy. So these are cool because they also have a lid which shuts. If you're good, you can scrape this off. I have a hard time with that, so whatever. Hey, so here we are. And so I took that salad tray and I filled it to the brim with some potting soil. And actually I'm going to take it out of the 10-20 tray for now because I got to drench it. First I'm going to drench this with some water so that the soil can settle and sink before I put the seeds in. I've got some dirt in the head of the watering can here. So let that all sink in a little bit. And I love using these trays because you can take the lid off, you can put the lid on if you're going to be away for a few days, or you can always put the lid back on and maintain the moisture on your seedlings there. More water. Now you would never water the seedlings like this. I'm just doing this to get the soil evenly moist because, it's a potting mix. And they're pretty dry when you get them sometimes. They're compressed. Dehydrated, so you get a lot in that bale. I like to buy them by the bale because you get more for your money, especially if you're doing a lot of seed starting. And you can always mix it with your compost, mix it in with the garden, and after this stage you might need a little bit more. If you transplant, if you thin them out, you transplant them in individual pots before you actually put them in the garden. Sometimes I do that, especially if I have more than I can use. I'll do it that way so I can share. Usually bring the extras to the community garden. So now you can see, now that it's all moist, it's not so airy. It's like a mud, it's compressed, or it's packed down more. Again. But now it's nice and moist. It's nice and moist. This is perfect for starting seeds in. Alright. So I'm going to make rows. Going to use the tip of a pencil here to push it down, and we're starting with lacinato kale. I picked this up from Whole Foods. I have a lot of seeds left over from last year, so I didn't find it necessary to go and put a whole big order of seeds in. So we're going to use these, and you can see it says cool season, 62 days, sow in early spring or late summer. I believe kale you can direct sow it 2 weeks before your last frost. Right now we're 6 weeks before our last frost, but what that means is by the time these little plants get their, first couple true leaves in, I can bring them out here to the cold frame, harden them off, and have them in the ground around the last frost. And they'll be hardy enough that if there is a frost or it drops really cold, they'll survive. And they'll thrive because they are cold season. And when you're up in a cold climate like, up here in New York, sometimes you got to start them indoors so you can, have a good harvest season, because otherwise you'll have to buy them from the store. And, believe it or not, it's not easy to find the varieties you want that are organically raised up and from heirloom seeds. So it's just a win-win to start it yourself, because for like $3 to $4 or $5 a plant, just get a pack of seeds and a bale of dirt and start all the plants you want, exactly the variety you want. Now this pack didn't come with a lot of seeds here, so we're going to be real careful, because as you can see, these seeds are real tiny. Nebraska seeds are pretty small. Leafy plants are small seeds. So, can't tell how many there are. But either how, we're going to plant these about 1 inch apart. And, the indentations I made are about a 1/4 inch deep. Maybe I can make some a little deeper so I don't have to press them in. I can just drop the seeds right on in, and I'll be good to go. So, let's do this. And I like to plant the seeds about 1 inch apart, like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Sometimes I double drop and I get like 2 right next to each other, really close, but I don't even sweat it, because later on, you can just thin them out later on. And when we get to that stage, I'll post a video on that as well. I think I missed one over in here. Oh, dropped 2. Well, there's our kales. I'm not going to put any more in than I'd like to. There's probably enough seeds in there. And what I really like about kale and why I grow so much of it is because it's like such a nutritious green, number one. Everybody knows how great kale is, but you can, it's one of the few leafy greens that you can preserve, So if I grow a lot of this stuff, I can just keep harvesting, like once a week. I can get a huge harvest that will last me more than enough for the week to eat right away and to share, but I can also blanch it and freeze it. So when it gets to the real dead of winter again and nothing's growing, I'll have some garden fresh kale. And imagine the cost on some frozen organic kale at the supermarket, and how you could just have your own that you grew yourself. You froze yourself. That'd be real yummy. So, alright. So as you can see, I just pinched the soil over my rows, and I just patted it down. And so now I know where everything is, and I have little space in between rows to scoot the seedlings over if necessary. And so that's it. We planted our seeds, so we're just going to want to keep it moist and give it light. I use the Sunblaze strip lights. They're about like $20 or $30 online or something, and you just have like 2 of those. And you want to keep the light, you keep the light about 1 inch away from the container until they sprout, and then you want to keep the light about maybe like 3 to 6 inches away from the plants at all times, because it's not a hot light. It's a fluorescent. It's a compact fluorescent, so it stays cool. And before they actually sprout, I just water them with a spray bottle. So I'll just kind of drench it with the spray bottle because I don't want to use the watering can. So it's too much water that gushes out, and it can move the seedlings around, and I don't really want them getting scooted around too much in there. So I'll just spray them until it's like soaking wet like this, and they'll rock out under the light, or I'll spray them after their light cycle's over and cover them back up for the night so they stay nice and moist. You know, you can do whatever works for you, but you definitely want to keep them under those lights for like 12 to 18 hours a day of like some good light, and until they germinate. And you want to keep them warm as well, so it's important that they're in like a warm spot. If you want to go all out and get a heating pad and all that stuff, you can do that, but you know, you're gonna get really technical there. You don't burn anything. So, and then I just stick them in these 10-20 trays. I keep all my plants in these trays, so when I'm watering them in the house, and you know, because it's just a little windowsill greenhouse, I don't get water everywhere, and I can rotate them around in the tray. And I'm gonna make sure I label this box Herbaceutikals kale, so I know what's in it. So I'm probably going to get about 8 trays full of different plants in the next couple weeks. So this way everything's organized and I know what's in what. I'm going to put this, well, we can leave the lid off for now while we're outside. And I'm going to plant some more leafy greens because today's a great day to start, you know, above ground plants that bear their seeds out outside of the plant. And so maybe I'll do Asian mustard green next because those prefer cool weather. So I'm going to go look for those seeds and plant them up.